At Subway, start your day the flavorful way by adding new guacamole to your favorite breakfast sandwich. Perfectly made with a hint of jalapeno, our guacamole turns up the flavor to your breakfast. Try it today on a hot and toasty egg, white, and cheese. Subway, eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
All right, before we get to Colin Kaepernick, we're hanging out at the Bud Light Hotel. It is an entire cruise ship on the Hudson River. Bud Light has taken over the ship. It's called the Intrepid. They built a giant concert venue, having a bunch of concerts on here. What are the concerts? It's some good ones, right?
Run DMC, The Roots.
Run DMC, The Roots, whole bunch of them. You can watch the live stream tonight. Oh, yeah. Of Run DMC and Busta Rhymes with The Roots. The stream starts at 11 p.m. East Coast time on the Bud Light YouTube page or on eonline.com. And check out budlighthotel.com for more details. And now, coming in, Colin Kaepernick.
How you doing?
You're doing the media tour today, right? A little bit? Were you doing interviews?
Yeah, a little bit today.
They were asking about Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
You said some stuff. It became a news. Do you when you do interviews, are you always scared like any quote is going to end up turning into something else, or are you just one of those guys who's like, I'm candid, I'm saying whatever?
No, that's normally in season why my answers are so short, because I don't want to give them anything to try to flip or manipulate. But
ammunition.
Yeah. Off season, if you want to run with something, you can go ahead and do it.
But you don't, I mean, the San Francisco-Seattle rivalry is a legit rivalry. In sports, we try to make up these rivalries sometimes.
Yeah.
Those two teams don't like each other.
No, it's a great rivalry. We both have very good teams, and I think it's a rivalry that will be around for a while.
The NFC West was terrible like 4 years ago. And now all of a sudden you guys have the best rivalry. It was like overnight it flipped.
Yeah, our whole division flipped.
Yeah, it was great this year.
The bottom of our division this year was the Rams, and they're still almost a 500 team.
Yeah.
And
they played you guys well at least one of those two times.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And the Cardinals were 11 wins this year and didn't make the playoffs. So we have a very difficult division. But
what's your least favorite thing about the Seahawks?
Least favorite thing?
Because in a rivalry, you got to have some things that bug you.
I would just say the chatter.
They chatter the most?
On and off the field, as far as unnecessary things being said.
You think they do that intentionally, or they're actually like that? Or do you think they get in a room and they're like, we're going to do this, it's going to bother them?
I think a little of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there can be that many things that you just come out and say.
But to be fair, you guys have some guys who are willing to chatter from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
You have a couple of those. Like, it's not like you can't match the chatter.
Oh, no, not at all. It's just something I think our team will match.
Right.
But it's not something we go out of our way to do.
What happens when you run into a Seahawk, like, because the Super Bowl this week, actually, those guys will be locked up. Let's say during the off-season, you're at some event or whatever, and two of the Seahawks are there. Like, do you talk to them, or do you be like, what's up, dude, or you just stay away completely?
It depends which ones are there. Like, I have great respect for Russell, Marshawn, right. Golden Tate. My friend Ricardo plays for them. They have a lot of players that I respect a lot, and they're great players. But there's other players that I wouldn't speak to off of the field.
Right. So you like Russell Wilson?
Yeah, he's
because you guys, that could be a good rivalry going forward here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play twice a year, maybe 3 times a year if you meet in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Similar age, right? You guys are relatively the same age.
Yeah. Been through a lot of the same things as well, which is, part of the reason I have such great respect for him.
Yeah. And the thing that's similar with you guys, and it's your generation of quarterbacks, is like 3-4 times a game, the defense, you think you have you, and then you circle around, and all of a sudden you're buying time, and he did that in that game, and it was a killer. And even as I was doing it, because I watched him, I like watching Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. I've seen him do that before. He does that little spin around, he's buying time, and that's like when he's the most dangerous. And that seems like the old generation, I'm a Patriot fan. Brady lost the ability to do that probably midway through his career. He was never fast, but when you can buy those 3 plays that the defense should have had you and they didn't get you, it seems like that really helps.
Yeah, it does. It's normally a big play for the offense, and those are plays that demoralize the defense.
Demoralize.
When you go from, oh, that should be a sack for a 10-yard loss to they just hit a 40-yard pass on us, not only the defense but the whole team is like, man, they should have been off the field and we should have been going out right now. And those are the kind of plays that can change games.
And that's kind of your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You love those plays.
Oh, I think scrambles are some of the biggest plays in football. A defense can't scheme for that. They can't.
Right.
It doesn't matter what coverage they have on. When you start scrambling, windows open up.
Do they talk to you about being careful and judicious with picking your spots so you don't take a lot of punishment? Or do you just kind of do your thing?
They talk to me about it, but I've never been one to go out and play conscious of my body. So as far as if I'm running down the field and it's a linebacker coming at me, I'm going to do what I can to get down and get out of the way. But as far as not scrambling or not trying to make a play, that's never in my mind as far as am I going to take a hit here.
Do you every once in a while be like, oh, there's a little defensive back, I'm going to deliver one here?
Every once in a while.
I'm going to give one to this guy.
Every once in a while you try to sneak up on someone and give them one, but...
How much lighter are your shoulder pads compared to a defensive player? I mean, is it like significant? Because it's always like the old wives' tale, like, oh, the quarterbacks don't have pads, but it doesn't seem like it's that different.
No, I think our DBs have the same pads I do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Try to get the smallest pads you can that they'll let you wear and you're still all right.
We were talking with my friend Joe House, who came on before here. We were talking about the era of the 80s, 90s QBs and the stuff they had to deal with that's been wiped out now by all these different rule changes. Like, you don't have to worry when you go back now that guys are going to dive at your knees.
Oh, yeah.
Because that rule is basically gone. I mean, you might see that happen 5 times a year. You don't have to worry about if somebody's hitting you on the blind side. In the old days, they were like, oh, I'm going to kill this guy on this hit. Mm-hmm. And now they have to be a little more careful. Like, can you feel the defenders being more careful now as you're playing, or you don't even think about it?
You can tell that there's certain plays where they're holding up because I don't want to get the fine, I don't want to get the penalty.
Yeah.
But that's something you also use as your advantage.
I was going to say, that's great for you.
Yeah, there's times where, all right, I might try to get out of this because they're not coming in full speed trying to take your head off. I might be able to sneak by, and if I don't, it's not going to be a big hit. The
most traumatic football play of my entire life, and probably my next 9 lives, was the helmet catch. And the Patriots eased up on that play with Eli Manning.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, if that play happens 15 years ago, they're trying to murder him as they're sacking him. And now it's like you're sacking him, and it does leave a little wiggle room for the QB to, get a little creative maybe. Try to rip out of there. Rodgers is good at that too.
Yeah, very good. They just give you the opportunity to almost set yourself up to get penalties sometimes.
Right.
As far as in the pocket, if you get touched in the head, flag's coming out.
Right.
And there's times that can change a game. And if you can try to manipulate yourself where you might take one where you get an arm coming across your face.
Right. Move the head.
Yeah, you're going to do it to try to get that 15. And you might be able to keep the play alive and get more yards on top of that.
Well, you guys got screwed this year in the Saints game.
Yeah.
That hit.
That was a perfect example.
I don't even know what that call was. What did they say? It was too low or too high? I can't remember.
They said
it was too low, right?
They said that he hit him in the head.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, but he didn't hit him in the head.
It was across the chest. He just hit him hard.
And that, if that play was called correctly, you guys are a 1 seed.
Yeah.
And you're hosting Seattle in that game.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It is. And, I mean, it's...
But you can't. You guys had a lot of those the last 3 years. We were talking... I went back and looked at all the teams that have made the Final Four 3 years in a row. And you guys were the only team that really had gut-wrenching losses 3 years in a row. Because the Giants game...
Yeah.
The Super Bowl last year, we were in the 5-yard line, first down.
Yep.
And then this game, first down, 25-yard line, 2 timeouts left. And each time, defeat comes in when you're about to get victory. What was the worst of those 3 losses? You didn't start in the first game, but you played the other two.
Yeah, I think, to me, the Super Bowl was the worst one.
Because you're so close.
Yeah, you're 5 yards away from getting a ring. And, I mean, we had the opportunities. We just didn't convert.
If you had to do over one thing about that drive, that last drive, first down from the 5, what would you do? I'm sure you've watched it.
There was one play we had that we had called a timeout on that I think would have walked in. And the play clock was running down, so we called a timeout. But
had you not called timeout, you feel like that was a touchdown?
Yeah, I do.
And would you have been able to get the play off in time or no?
It would have been close, but I think we might have been able to get that off.
What was the play? Do you remember?
It was a quarterback power.
Oh, the Cam Newton play.
Yeah. So
you like that play?
Yeah, certain situations.
At what point did you get? I'm sure you're on first down and goal from the 5. You think you're going to score?
Oh, of course.
At what point were you like, ooh, I'm starting to feel the pressure now because if we don't score, I'm losing the Super Bowl?
I wouldn't say it was a uh-oh moment or a point where I got worried. It was more
an urgency?
Yes. That, all right, we have to convert this time. And you get to fourth down and, all right, we have one shot.
Right.
And to me, the biggest thing on that play, I wish I would have thrown more of a jump ball where...
A little up in the air more?
Yeah, just let Crab go up and make a play.
Right. What was, out of that game or this game, obviously you feel like you have the better team in every game, but did you leave either of those games thinking, we had a better team? Like how did we not win this game?
I think both of those games.
Yeah?
We left the field thinking we left stuff out there that we shouldn't have.
Because I felt like you had a better team than Seattle.
Yeah.
The 4th and 7 was, I mean, it was a great play. You got to hand it to him.
Yeah.
The home field advantage obviously helped. You had first down on the 25, you had 2 timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't agree with the play call, I got to be honest. I thought it was risky. I mean, would you do that over again? Because you could have moved up a little closer, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you guys went for the kill right away.
Yeah, we did. It's something that, looking back on it now, a lot of people would say, well, we should have done things differently, but if I throw that ball a foot farther, everyone's thinking that's the best play call ever.
But that would have been an amazing throw, though. I mean, that would have been a 30-yard rope. You're throwing it over a 6'3" guy. You're putting it in the end of the end zone. You know, you have like what? I mean, what's the window to hit that? I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I'm just saying that's a tough throw.
It is. It's not a very big window, but to me, that's something I have confidence in myself to make that throw.
So that call comes in, and you're like, I'm hitting this throw.
Yeah, we have one-on-one backside.
You knew you had that play. You knew where you're throwing the ball.
Yeah.
You figured it's a jump ball, but if you get it over Sherman's hand, it's done.
Yeah.
Now, if you had tried to do dink and dunk, because you could have gone over the middle, call timeout, something like that. It seemed like they were kind of surprised you did that, though.
Yeah, they were. I think that was part of the reason we called it.
Yeah.
Was we were moving down the field and, all right, let's take a shot here. And on a play like that, that was the last thing we were expecting to happen was a tip ball to a linebacker running back there. So I think in everyone's mind, worst case scenario, we're going to have an incomplete pass.
What was the most, out of the 3 locker rooms after those games, what was like the saddest, quietest, most depressed locker room of those 3? Or were they all the same?
They were all pretty quiet, but I think the Super Bowl again was the most quiet locker room.
Because you're so close.
Yeah.
And that was such a weird game, too, with the blackout.
Yeah.
You feel like the blackout helped you?
I wouldn't say that it helped us. I think we just hurt ourselves in the first half.
Right.
That was where the difference in the game was. First half, we didn't come out and play like ourselves.
Yeah. You had a lot of adrenaline.
Yeah. I think it was to the point where our team was almost overhyped for the game.
Right. I was going to say, because sometimes people think, oh, he looks nervous. And sometimes that's not it. Sometimes you're like, and you know what I mean? It's like that's almost worse if you have too much energy.
Yeah.
Come out and you're a spaz for a quarter almost. You know?
Right. Yeah, I think everybody was ready to play, but almost too eager.
Did that brother versus brother thing?
I don't think that played a factor for us.
Well, not for you guys, but do you think for your coach?
Oh,
I mean, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl anyway, but I can't imagine going against your brother in that situation.
Yeah, I would say he put in a few extra hours to make sure we had a good game plan.
Let's talk about a happy game. Boise State.
That was a real good game.
That was the one that kind of put you on the map a little bit.
Yeah, it was. That was the first time we really got national recognition as a school.
Yeah.
It was a huge win for us. It was 4 years of playing them and finally being them the fourth year.
And they're getting all kinds of attention.
Yeah. They were, I think they were in line to try to be in the BCS game.
Right.
Title game. So.
What did that do for your draft stock, you think? Did it change it at all, or did you need a game like that?
I think it helped it, just off the basis that you can win on a big stage against a good team.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I had put together a good resume outside of that game.
Were you mad you didn't go in the first round?
Yeah, I was. It was.
Especially at so many quarterbacks in that draft.
Yeah, that's where I got drafted in comparison to other quarterbacks is what really sticks with me more than anything.
Right. And then you made the Super Bowl, you played Denver. That was a team that traded the rights to you.
Yeah.
I noticed. I didn't even realize that until this week.
Yeah.
That was that pick. Then you had Cincinnati passed on you. Who else passed on you? I'm sure you can name every team that passed on you.
Jacksonville, Tennessee, Minnesota, Carolina.
Look at that. He's listing them off the top of his head. All these quarterbacks can do that. Brady supposedly has some list in his office of all the quarterbacks that went ahead of him that he looks at every once in a while. Just that gets weirdly motivated. Wouldn't you say, though, that's a good thing to have happen in a weird way? Like, it gives you that edge and, you know what I mean? Isn't it better to have to work for stuff and feel like you have to prove yourself versus just people being like, hey, you're great, here you go?
Yeah, well, I feel like I've always been down that path, so I'm used to
proving yourself,
having to prove myself and work through things. But to me, at this point, it's something that helps me. It's something that motivates me, and when I step on the field, I think it's something that drives me to go out and play well to try to prove to people that I shouldn't have been drafted where I was.
Right. So you can still keep using that. That never goes away.
No.
You're always second-round quarterback guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think like Johnny Manziel this year, who people actually think is going to go in the top 3 or 4. I think it would be better for him if he just got passed and he dropped, and people are like, oh my God, what's happening to Johnny Manziel? And he goes like in the 20s, and then he uses that. Really, all you guys passed on me? And then, like, it's better than just being like, you're great. You're the first pick.
Yeah.
We think you're going to be awesome.
Just for I haven't spent any time talking to him, but just the personality that he gives off, I feel like that would piss him off if he dropped. And
totally.
I feel like he would come out in a fury.
Right. Are you one of those super competitive guys who always has to win at everything you do?
Yes.
Like if I brought out like a backgammon board or some weird thing right now and we started playing, you'd get weirdly competitive?
Yeah.
See, I'm weirdly competitive, and I would have been a terrible quarterback. That's the one trait I had. Intelligence. That's some of the stuff. Just the 6.740 that I ran probably wasn't helping. Lack of arm strength didn't hurt. So you think all the great guys have that?
I think so. The people that...
Give me an example of competitiveness for you. Like something in, like hanging around with your team, some stupid game you guys play that you're crazy competitive at.
We have a little basketball hoop in our locker room.
Yeah. That's
up on the wall, and we'll sit there and shoot. Just, all right, you get 3 shots, see how many you make. And, I mean, the hoop isn't...
It's like a little Nerf hoop?
Kind of, but it's like a deluxe version where it actually has like a breakaway rim still, and has a legit ball to it, but it's harder to make it than it is like a normal hoop, just in the size of the ball to the rim. And we'll sit in there, and it turns into like 30-minute games sometimes after practice, just because people don't like losing.
Right. Do you play video games?
A little bit, not too much though. Normally I'm running around doing something.
Right. When you're on the Niners, you're just backup QB guy that they took in the second round. People probably treating you a certain way when you're going out to restaurants and things like that. Like, you're not a household name. You're just the backup quarterback. You're recognizable. Alex Smith goes down, concussion. You start playing. You start playing well. All of a sudden, you're famous. Like, could you feel that change overnight?
I would say it wasn't something that I felt like it was different, but when I left the house and was around people I didn't know, I could tell it was different.
For everyone else, it was different.
Yeah. As far as, I mean, I could walk through a mall, I could walk through a grocery store, wherever.
You put a hat on, nobody recognized.
Before, and no one cared. And it turned into, I'll walk out with a hat and a hoodie and trying to cover up, and it's, that's him. Can we get a picture? Can we get on? And it was just, it changed very quickly.
But you're the same guy. It's just everything around you changed.
Yeah.
But you seem like you would like people coming up to you, though.
It depends.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah, to me, I like my space, so.
Right.
When people run up on me, that's when I'm like, oh, all right. Like, give me a little space, and it's different if you're on a time schedule and you have things that you have to do.
Right.
Then it's like, well, I can't do things for you. I can't take a picture. I can't sign something because I have to be here at this time.
Right.
And that's where it gets a little bit tough, because then people are like, well, why didn't you sign this? Why didn't you do this?
What's wrong with you?
That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
No, what I'm supposed to be doing is going where I'm supposed to be going.
Right.
And that's where it's hard to get people to understand that sometimes.
Did you notice a change in the caliber of ladies that were looking at you in your direction, possibly?
I feel like I was pretty successful at that regardless.
You're a college quarterback. But now you could, like, hit up anybody. You'd be like, oh, I like that girl in that TV show. I'm gonna get her number and text her. Because I'm the quarterback of the Niners.
No, I like meeting people face to face if I can.
I like that. See, we're learning stuff here, Jacoby. So you would never text some girl you liked in some movie?
If someone offered that to me, I would. But to me, if I had my choice, I would meet face to face.
Face to face. What about, so you're playing that first year, and all of a sudden your tattoos became a thing. And that dumb writer wrote that thing about this new generation and these quarterbacks with their tattoos and what's going on. It was really one of the weirdest columns. And it's weird, but all of a sudden people are talking about your tattoos.
Yeah.
That was weird.
It got to a point where I felt like I was almost more known for my tattoos than my face.
And everybody, I mean, how many guys in the league have tattoos? Like, at least half, right? It was weird that you became the focal point.
I think it was more than half.
Yeah.
I think it was because I was a quarterback that it came out like that.
Did you feel like that was super unfair, or it comes with the territory?
I thought it was pretty unfair. I thought it was a very prejudiced article.
Yeah.
As far
I would agree.
As you've never even spoken to me, so how can you make those assumptions?
Right.
And that's where it's hard to say anything about anyone that you haven't had any time with, because you really don't know.
Right.
That's why, even when I talked about Manziel, I tried to preface it with, I've never talked to him or spoke to him, so I really can't say too much. But what he gives off is that he would get mad about something like that, and it would help him.
Right.
But I can't say that definitely because I've never met him.
When you, going into last season, you were one of, like, the poster boys of the season, which I thought was interesting. There was, like, a lot of magazine pieces about you and TV segments and stuff like that. Like, you were in demand. Did you ever worry about doing too much stuff? Like, Like, what did you worry about? People thinking you were overexposed? What were you trying to present with that? Or was just everybody's coming at you and you felt like you had to do stuff?
It was a lot of things we did. We felt like there were things that I wanted to do and things that fit me.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that people don't realize is every shoot I did, every commercial I did, every interaction with fans or anything like that I did was all done after I finished my workout for that day. So it wasn't something I'm just skipping workouts and I'm not focused on football.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in my schedule was based around my workouts, so I could do that and then go do those things.
Right. And plus, you're young, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. But to me, it's important that people know I'm still focused on football.
Right.
I'm still making sure I'm handling my business to be ready for the next season.
When the stuff came out about your family situation and all that stuff, I actually felt bad for you, and especially people writing about things you do and shouldn't do. Did you just tune that stuff out? How did you handle that?
Yeah, at that point, I just tuned everything out because to me, my family's my family.
Right.
And I've never seen it any other way, so I'm not going to let someone I don't know have an impact on what my family has done for me and what my relationship is with them.
I think it's weird that sports has gotten to a situation where people would talk about that extensively. You know what I mean?
It is a little bit weird.
At some point, can't you just play football? Why are we talking about this? What about the game?
Yeah, I've kind of felt that way too, but it comes with territory at this point.
How'd your parents handle it?
I think my dad was good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at letting things just roll off his shoulders. My mom, it was a little tougher on, just because, she takes things very personal, especially something like that.
Yeah.
As far as why would people try to attack our family or attack her? Because to me, I felt like people were indirectly attacking her.
Yeah.
As far as why aren't you going to see your birth mother? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? People don't realize my mom worked 12-hour night shifts her whole life, so she could be there to take me to school in the morning and be there when I got home from school. And to me, the fact that people don't even take that into consideration blows my mind.
Right. And moms are super protective anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Moms do not like any criticism of their child whatsoever. My mom Googles everything that's ever been written about me in my life and gets super mad and has to be restrained from going after people. Because that's just what moms do.
Oh, my mom's the same way. And especially being the youngest, it makes it a little worse.
How many siblings do you have?
Older brother and older sister.
Where do they live?
Modesto, Turlock, back where the rest of my family is.
Are you solo, or are you one of those guys who has buddies around you at all times? Do you have an entourage?
No entourage.
Solo dude?
It depends. I'll roll solo from time to time, or normally I'll be with a friend or two.
What was it like playing in that Green Bay game, where you basically, grew up? I'm sure you dreamed a few times of having a Lambeau experience. Now you're going in there trying to beat them, and it's this legendary cold weather game. It was kind of everything you probably wondered about when you were 8, right?
It really was. It was. Growing up, I always saw him playing in the cold, and I always saw him at Lambeau, and it was the opportunity to go out there and play in it and try to win a playoff game, and at that.
But you went sleeveless. Although some people, I really vociferously praised you for going sleeveless, but some people are like, no, he went to the sideline, they put a jacket on him, it wasn't that great. I still thought it was impressive. Sleeveless QB in the 0-degree weather, I was impressed.
Well, part of it, I feel like a lot of the cold is mental. At some point, mentally, you just have to be able to go numb to it. And another part of it was a little bit of mental warfare.
That's what I thought. And also proving your teammates, too, right? I'm a tough guy. I don't need sleeves.
Yeah.
I'm your quarterback.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And, to me, to the other team playing against Green Bay, it was a little bit of we're going to come into your stadium in the cold weather, and this is what's supposed to be your element,
right,
and we're going to make it ours. And
did you feel like your teammates were impressed? Did like Frank Gore say anything to you? It's like, hey man, I really appreciate the no sleeves thing.
I had a couple of teammates say something to me about it, just because. I mean, normally quarterbacks don't go without sleeves, but to me, you gotta be different.
My theory on QBs, and I'm probably wrong, but this is my theory. I think it's 75% the person you are, like the leader, the charisma, not getting nervous, just being smart, like all the stuff that has nothing to do with the athleticism. Then the other 25% is the athleticism. But I always feel like the QB has to be either the coolest guy in the huddle or one of the coolest guys. Like there's got to be, for it to work, there's got to be something cool about the QB, right? Like it's got to be like whatever's going on, the QB's cool. Like he's not going to panic. You know what I mean? Do you agree with that?
I do. I think a huge part of being a quarterback is the confidence you carry yourself with, the demeanor you give off, and do your teammates have the respect and the confidence in you that you're going to go out and play well, or you're going to go out and make a play? Because ultimately, if you give them confidence based on what you're doing, their level of play is going to rise, and the whole team is going to be better.
You're the leader. You're leading men.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you're in a huddle, you're down 3. They got to think you think they can do it.
Yeah,
I think that's when it goes wrong with the QB position sometimes, because you can see it on TV, especially the big TVs we have now. If the guy's looking nervous, like you know what I mean? If he's got that weird look on his face, like his teammates have to see that.
Oh yeah, it's almost like animals. You can smell fear.
Right.
So as a quarterback, you can't walk in the huddle and be tentative or be scared, because everyone in the huddle is going to know it.
Right.
And instantly that just kind of brings everyone down as far as their confidence, because they don't know if you know what you're going to be doing, or that you're confident in what you're doing. But if you walk in the huddle with a strong presence and everybody feels it, and it's, all right, we're going to go score. And this is just what we do.
It seemed like you had that attitude in the last Super Bowl drive. The whole team was like, we're scoring.
Yeah.
Which was, it was shocking to watch you not score, I got to say, not to keep bringing that up, but when it was first and goal on the 5, I was like, all right, they're going to score. I wonder if they're going to leave enough time up for Baltimore to come back and get their own thing. And then all of a sudden, the game was over. It was bizarre. It was really, that was one of the weirdest sporting events I've ever been to. Like between that and the blackout.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I think everyone, as soon as we got down there, was like, all right, we're going to score.
Yeah, we got this.
We're going to score. Let's see if our defense can hold them. And then we didn't score, and everyone kind of walked off the field like,
is that it? Is there another quarter?
That just happened?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was a bizarre moment.
It was strange. Who do you think wins this game?
I'm going for the Broncos.
Just because you hate Seattle?
That, and I have 2 college teammates on the Broncos.
Who are they?
Virgil Green and Brandon Marshall.
There's a Virgil Green a wager that we have. My buddy Sal, who comes on, and he did Super Bowl props yesterday. Virgil Green was his big waiver that he gets over 1.5 catches.
Oh yeah,
he's like, they're going to use Virgil Green.
I hope they do. But I'm also a big Peyton fan, so
yeah.
I mean, I have a great respect for what he does on the field.
Right.
And he makes a lot of things look so easy that really shouldn't be.
So when you're watching games, are you trying to pick up little tricks from, like you're home watching the AFC title game or something, and there's Peyton Manning, like you're seeing what he's doing? You guys don't have similar games, obviously, but...
Yeah, no, I always try to pick up different things from quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Especially quarterbacks like Peyton and Brady and Breeze, Rodgers, quarterbacks that are at that elite level as far as they just go out and make plays, and they do it on a consistent basis to see if there's anything in their game that I can steal and start to make it part of mine.
Who is the quarterback that you feel like resembles you the most that came before you, or maybe is older than you? Is there anybody that you look at and be like, oh, that guy? I can be that guy.
I think one of the quarterbacks I looked to a lot was Randall Cunningham. Just
because of the video games?
His highlights and just the way he moved, the way his game was, it was almost freelance.
Yeah.
But he just went out and made plays.
That's interesting because that's the guy I always thought you reminded me of the most, but I didn't know if you... See, I remember Eagles Randall Cunningham. Those 3-4 years when there was just nobody like him. I mean, he didn't have anything in common with anybody. And the stuff he was doing was just like, you can do that? And now kind of paved the way for the guys that came after. But I agree, it was one of the first guys that would break the play, kind of create, and then all of a sudden he was throwing it 68 yards downfield to some wide open guy and all that stuff,
Yeah. To this day I'll watch Randall Cunningham highlights and you get excited about watching him.
Yeah.
And there's plays he makes that I don't know if a lot of players can make today.
Right.
Just because his game was very different.
Well, what about the fact that he punted in college? I always thought that was impressive.
Yeah.
He was one of the leading punters.
Yeah, he was just
rival school,
all-around athlete.
Wasn't that UNLV?
Yeah.
Nevada doesn't like UNLV.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's like a secret rivalry.
Yeah.
How far is Nevada from the Strip? It's far, right?
Yeah, Reno from Vegas is 7 hours.
Yeah.
So.
But Reno's got stuff to get in trouble with.
Yeah.
If in the wrong hands.
Yeah, a little bit.
Some casinos, some things.
Yeah, it's not too bad, though. Once you live there for a while, you just get used to seeing it. You don't really go down that way.
Jacoby, did you know he was a baseball pitcher?
Yes.
You knew that?
Mm-hmm. Totally lying. No idea.
And not only that, but a really good one. And did the rarely seen wanted to play football over... A lot of the people gravitate toward baseball because you get paid right away.
Yeah.
You get the contracts. You even after you picked football, somebody drafted... the Cubs drafted you.
Yeah.
Late, because they were hoping.
Yeah, they drafted me after my sophomore year in college.
What could you throw now in the gun, you think? Could you hit 90s?
Yeah.
How many pitches did you have?
I had a fastball, two-seam fastball, a change, and a curve.
See, sports needs to be more fun. Like game 162, the Giants should just bring you in to pitch an inning. If they're out of the pennant race, who's not watching that?
I think I could come and do good for it.
You could get one guy out, come in, pitch to the 8-9-1 in the order or something.
I better get more than one out. Dang.
When was the last time you pitched in a game?
My senior year of high school.
Oh. Well, so you never did it in college at all?
No.
Did you think about doing it?
Well, that was part of the agreement for me to get my football scholarship.
Just give it up.
To Nevada was I wouldn't play baseball.
But you were really good at baseball.
Yeah.
See, you could have broken the agreement once you were good. What's maybe your junior year, be like, hey, remember that agreement we made? I'm going to start playing baseball a little bit. I'm just going to dabble. Pitch a couple games. Mogo mouthguards. That's what you're promoting this week.
Yes.
You like the fruit punch flavor. So what are these mouthguards?
The first flavored mouthguards. They have, just about every flavor you can think of. And mold to your mouth, you can get top or bottom. And basically it's to help prevent concussions, which from my experience, wearing a mouthpiece can help with that. And talking to different players that have and haven't worn mouthpieces can be a big part of whether or not you can get a concussion.
You've had a concussion, right? You're not positive you had one?
I don't have one on record.
You don't have one on record? So I'm going to say you've had one.
Not since I've been in the NFL. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. That's pretty good to get out of there. I wrote about this a couple weeks ago. It's totally changed how somebody like me watches a playoff game. Because in the old days, if anyone got hurt, unless they were on the cart and the guys were coming over and doing this, you had the outside chance they're coming back.
Yeah.
Now if somebody gets hurt and they're kind of wobbling off and they're checking them, you know the guy's out.
Yeah.
That's it. And it was like that Kansas City-Indianapolis game. Jamal Charles got hit, and they're looking at him in the sideline, and then he walks, and he's like, oh, that's it. Like, he's out of the game.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, you guys are such warriors, and this happens in hockey, too. I'm sure people think, like, it's the playoffs. I'm going to pretend I don't have a concussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you try to fake your way through the test, but I'm sure they figure out little ways to do that.
Yeah, there's...
I mean, to catch those tricks.
Yeah. Football is such a violent sport, and, I mean, so many people are going helmet to helmet. And
yeah.
You're going to get hit. You're going to get dazed at some point. But I think there's a difference between being dazed and having a concussion.
Right.
Which, I mean, there's a lot of times you're going to get up and be like,
oof. Right.
All right, I just took kind of a big hit. All right, let me get back to what I need to do. And it's almost getting to the point where if you have anything at all, they're going to pull you out.
Yeah, and make sure.
Yeah.
That guy there, when we play basketball, if somebody hits him in the head, he gets mad for 5 seconds. And it's a threat for a fight, but then it goes away. But that's to your point. Sometimes you get tagged, you react away for a couple seconds, and it's fine. All right, Mogo mouthguards.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on. This was fun. It was nice meeting you.
I'm
sorry you're not in the Super Bowl. Maybe next year.
Yeah, we'll be back.
You probably the best team of the decade, and somehow haven't won a Super Bowl yet. But, I mean, decade's 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
You arguably had the team that was right there in 3 of those. So
yeah.
You're in good shape.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Good luck. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
We'll be back in the BS Report tomorrow from the Bud Light Hotel with Drew Brees, Aaron Andrews, and Seattle fan Joel McHale. You won't like Joel McHale. We'll see you tomorrow at Bud Light Hotel, BS Report. Until then.
Target the set off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
Hey, what you got there, Golick?
The new Subway Chipotle chicken melt with guacamole.
Man, that looks good.
Yeah, this new guac is really bringing the flavor.
Got one for me too, right?
Well, yes and no. Mostly no. Well, really, all no.
Try the irresistible new Subway Chipotle chicken melt with guacamole, juicy grilled chicken strips with Monterey cheddar, Chipotle Southwest sauce, and new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of jalapeno. Subway, eat fresh.